The whole world's coming together now. Can you feel it? 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 Can you feel it?
Rated M for mature.
Shall we dance on a bright cloud of music? Shall we fly? Shall we dance? Shall we then say goodnight and mean goodbye? Shall we dance? Shall we dance? Shall we dance?
Dramatic.
Ellen's Game of Games Holiday Spectacular, December 12th on NBC.
For Harris's second interception of the season, he's getting to play a lot more because Andrew Sendeo is still hurt, missing his fifth straight game with a groin injury. So each team now has turned it over one time. This drive begins from the 32 on a deep drop by Cousins, who fires into no man's land. The little Mac put the heat on, and back we go to the pit.
Yeah, the one thing that you never want to do is split right down the middle of a zone defense, because then you get guys coming from both directions. I always felt it's much better to try and work one side and then stay slightly inside so you have somewhere to go get the ball, and it was too far down the field. I mean, our belief was when we played on that play, 20 yards max, they were 32 yards deep on that throw, just too big an opportunity for Harris.
On 2nd and 10, Murray is the running back. And he'll get stuffed after a gain of 1. So Kirk Cousins, first year with Minnesota, after starting his career with the Redskins. He actually grew up in Illinois, moved to Michigan when he was about 12. He asked his dad if he could still root for the Chicago Bears, and he did. Played flag football. And one of his coaches in flag football was Mike Singletary, 1998 flag football team. That's pretty good.
Definitely get your attention.
He will.
He even let him call his own plays one time when Mike had to take over the head coaching duty.
3rd and 9. Blitz coming. Cousins is hit as he throws. And then it's Mack again, wrecking the play. 4th down.
It's a killer. You've got a wide open wide receiver on the play, perfectly set up, and Mack is just too much for Riley Reiff. And really what we've seen this season, he's too much for two blockers. We've seen chips, we've seen double teams, we've seen all kinds of different things. And this is much like the start to the Green Bay Packers game we saw. He just took over.
That was opening night. Matt Wild into punt. Cohen is back to receive. Good high, deep angle kick, and a fair catch is made at the 17-yard line. The Bears are around for 99 seasons. Here's what Trubisky has done. 19 TD passes, most through 9 games in 23 years since Eric Kramer in 95. 6 TD passes in 1 game, most in 69 years. He did that earlier this season against Tampa. 300 or more passing yards. 4 already tied for the most in the history of the Chicago Bears. And you know, the quarterback situation here through the years, I mean, they had Sid Luckman, and then you had Jim McMahon, and you haven't had much else.
A long list.
Right.
We'd show it to you. It'd take up most of the quarters.
From the 18-yard line to the outside goes Manziel, and he can't go anywhere. The number 3 running back stopped behind the line of scrimmage. It'll be 2nd down and 11.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about Trubisky, though, and exactly what he's been able to do. Over the last 6 games, Trubisky, 17 touchdowns, just 4 interceptions, and he really has been red hot. He hasn't made mistakes like what we've seen there in that last one.
Well, you look at that 22 consecutive starts. That's not that many, but it's the most by a Bears quarterback since Jim Harbaugh back in the early 90s. 2nd and 11. Trubisky fires, throws a dart, and that is Allen Robinson. No, he is out of bounds. Stepped on the boundary. Coming off a big game last week. Two officials get together. Now it's going to be maybe overruled.
Question is, was there a bobble in here?
Well, you saw the first official indicating incomplete because he was out of bounds. So the ball starts to come loose.
First down.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it is a completion. He caught it, resecured it, hit his backside. That was a shot, too, from Trubisky. That was a nice throw.
Going to make it a first down. Early in the second quarter. Aren't going to win it, you assume. Now through the middle goes Jordan Howard. Howard, the short yardage back, and a guy who, played more last year with Cohen coming in, but this year Tariq has done the bulk of the ball carrying, and of course he's such a good receiver.
Yeah, and I think that's the major factor you just hit on, his ability as a receiver. What you'll see is a lot of times he goes
stop at the 48-yard line. Mentioned before, only Cam Newton has more rushing yards by a quarterback this season.
But Trubisky has the highest yards per carry of anybody in the National Football League, and here's why. He is a legitimate runner. Played a little running back from 2nd grade through 6th grade, and you see some of the elusiveness, but, he has legitimate moves. I see him make really good tacklers miss in space, and you don't get that often out of a quarterback.
His per carry average is 7.8. There it is, Newton 1, Trubisky 2, deep drop here, stepping up in the pocket. He's going to go again and slice to a stop at the 39-yard line. Whew. Trubisky now 3 carries, 28 yards. That's a gain of 13.
I told you, you get a lot of wows with this guy, and it's tough to defend. What do you do if you're Mike Zimmer? He even had a defensive lineman sort of sitting there at the line of scrimmage holding a double team and trying to see if the quarterback was going to run. But when you get down to 3rd down or you get down around the goal line, you better account for number 10 or he's going to make you look bad.
This is the 8th play of the drive, and Jordan Howard through the middle takes it down to the 33-yard line.
Al, we've been talking about Matt Nagy's team, this offense and defense, and top 5 in offense, top 5 in defense, and we talked about it a little bit in the pregame show, but last year, 3 of the 4 teams that made it to the Final Four were top 5 in offense and defense, so it's a pretty good indicator maybe of what's to come for the Chicago Bears team.
A tremendous improvement, especially on the offensive side. 2nd down and 4 from the 33-yard mark. Again on the ground. That's the first down here for Howard. You're thinking of the Bears. Of course, they're the monsters of the Midway. You always think about defense first. But they bring in Matt Nagy, whose pedigree is offense, and so far so good. So far so very good.
Oh, it really has been. Monsters on both sides of the ball. And Al, one of the things that you're seeing now is because of all that misdirection, the Vikings linebackers are not reacting up. So now a guy like Jordan Howard can come downhill and make runs. They're waiting for all this action going sideways they saw in the first couple of series.
Halfway through the second quarter, again it's Howard through the middle, big hole. Gain of about 8. Trey Burton helping to lead the way.
Let's take a look at some of this misdirection. Try and imagine playing linebacker against these guys. Which way is the ball going? You got 2 guys going left, you got 2 guys going right. Here you got two guys on the right, and the quarterback going. I mean, it's insane. So what happens to you as a linebacker? You just sit there. You don't really know. You don't trust your eyes. You don't know what you're doing. And that's the reason that this offense has been so successful here, Philadelphia, and Kansas City.
2nd and 2. Trubisky, another good game to the 9-yard line. At 7.8 average right now, he's averaging over 9 yards a carry. That's 4 for 37.
Yeah, and that time Everson Griffin, here's the other component part of it. When you have a single high safety, there's one guy that you can't block. So this time, they don't block Griffin. Just going to end up using your quarterback as a running back. So many teams, Al, that want to just hand off with the quarterback, they're one guy short. The defense has one more guy than they do because the quarterback basically isn't involved.
Look at this, a blast from the pass. They come up into T formation. Cohen to the 7-yard line, and a flag comes in. We've seen one penalty, one accepted penalty in the game so far. John Parry is the referee. Haven't heard much from John tonight.
Holding, offense, number 84. 10-yard penalty, replay, first down.
Ben Bronico, the tight end, costing him 10.
This is what I ran in junior league. The T formation, and you always wanted to be the fullback because he got the ball more often. Well, this time, Tariq Cohen around the corner, and it was a good call. Bronico definitely hooked Harrison Smith here at the tail end of this thing and took him to the ground.
So back to the 18-yard line, 1st and goal. Cohen splits wide right. Trubisky rolling that way, keeps his eyes downfield, throws a little low, and it is Anthony Miller in the end zone for the touchdown.
There we go. We talked about Trubisky on the move. Here he goes again. Just a roll to the right, and his receiver went hard inside Anthony Miller. And Anthony Miller has become a force. We saw him in training camp. I think he scooped that off the ground there. And it stick there on the tail end of it. I do think he got it off the ground.
So far, so good to that point.
It moved a little, but I'm not sure it ever got to the ground between his legs.
All scoring plays reviewed automatically in New York.
There they go. Now going for 2.
Yep. So it's 9-0, and they're going to go for 2 here with 6 minutes to go in the half. Trubisky rolling, firing, caught for 2. Josh Bellamy